for those of you who don't know me, I'm Bella. I ran track at Middletown High School, and I graduated 2 years ago now. I can't believe I'm saying that. And now I'm at Villanova, and I'm about to go into my third year. And I know you guys have pre-written questions, but if you're curious about something or something just pops up in your head, please don't be shy to ask. I'm a completely open book. So.
Yeah, let me start off by introducing Bella. So, Bella Walsh she currently runs for Villanova University. She is going into her junior year. She can tell you all about her PRs, but she was a recruited athlete for Villanova out of Middletown High School, where she has the fastest time ever by a Delawarean in the mile at 4:42 something. 4:43 something. Yeah, I know it's close. She also ran under 2:10 in the 800. She's run under 18 minutes for the 5K, and she also ran 10:15 for the 3200 at the county meet, or state meet, sorry, her senior year. So going on to Villanova, she's run 4:13 for the 1500, which converts to a sub 4:30 mile, and close to 4:30 mile. And we're really excited to have her here tonight to talk to you all about her experience at Middletown and her experience now at Villanova University and the process of going from high school to college. And anything to add before we get started?
That's all. Thanks for having me.
All right. So we're gonna the team behind you has a series of questions that they're gonna ask, and so it doesn't really matter who starts, but maybe we can start with cross country questions, or maybe high school cross country questions if you have one. All the questions in bold are the ones we're gonna ask, and speak loudly when you ask the question because you're not on a microphone. Go ahead, Tanner.
I have a question about goal setting. Like at Villanova, when do you guys start talking about team goals?
That's a good question. I would say, so at the beginning of every year, we kind of have a meeting with the coach as a team where we sit down. She'll meet with us one-on-one, and we'll meet all together, and we kind of just discuss where we want to be by the end of the year. I would say this past year in particular, we really had a big jump. Our team made it to nationals in cross country. We had a huge group of girls go to the regional meet this year for track. So we talked a lot about goals this year. And I think, at the end of every year too, we, discuss where we want to go from there, how we want to build, what pieces, what people are coming in, how we can move things around, things like that. And so, yeah, I would say we touch base multiple times throughout the year about goal setting, where we want to be, and things like that.
Do the goals change in high school? Do the goals change in cross country versus track and field? Like, you talking more about individual goals in track and team goals in cross country?
Yeah, absolutely. Cross country, the one thing I do love about cross country, coming from somebody who considers himself to be more of a track runner, is that cross country is a team sport. And that's why I love it. You're kind of running for something bigger than yourself. I almost compare it to like running on a relay. You're running for your teammates, you're running for a collective group of people. And track is a lot more individual, As a team, you're not qualifying to go to regionals or to nationals in track, you have to do it yourself. And you have to do what works for you. But with cross country, you're all kind of trained similarly. You learn how to run together, and you kind of build off one another to be successful as a team. So, all right, should we move on?
If you could go back and change one thing from high school, what would you change?
That was actually my favorite question.
That's a very loaded question. And I'll try to do my best to not go off on a ton of side tangents, because I could talk about a lot of things I would change. But I'll try to synthesize it down to 3 different things. So first and foremost, stress. You really need to learn how to regulate your stress. I think one of the best pieces of advice I got coming to college was something that our weight trainer told us. And he told us that one of the best forms of recovery you can do for yourself as an athlete is to, at the end of long day, go to the dining hall and have dinner with your friends. And at first I was kind of like, okay, like that's kind of cliche, but it really makes a lot of sense. You need to learn how to regulate your stress. Stress is like one of the top inhibitors for recovery. And this sport is just as much mental as it is physical. And if you are not mentally healthy, then that is going to translate over into your performance. And you know, stress hormones are very powerful. If you've heard of that joke, like cortisol maxing or like low cortisol, all that kind of thing, you know, that's a real thing. But so are happy hormones. And if you're happy and you're healthy, you're going to perform so much better. So stress is a big thing. You know, cultivate your connections. Make deep, meaningful friendships. I know my freshman year, I struggled a lot in college with making connections. And a big thing I worked on sophomore year was, you know, cultivating and growing my friendships. And that, you know, transformed my whole life. I was a much happier person and it translated over into my performance. Okay, next thing would be definitely sleep. Please, for the love of God, please sleep. I saw a huge jump in my performance when I started getting 8 to 9 hours of sleep every night. And you know, life's not perfect, you know, especially being in college. I procrastinate, I doom scroll a lot, so I am up late studying sometimes. But, you know, a good rule of thumb I live by is, you know, especially 2 nights out from a race, I'm prioritizing my sleep. I'm getting 8 to 9 hours of sleep. It's very important. Take naps. I used to be so anti-taking naps, and now it's one of my favorite hobbies. You know, you're putting your body through a lot, you're asking a lot of yourself, and it's really important that you're being kind to yourself and you are giving your body the resources it needs to perform at its ceiling. And the last thing would be fueling. Fueling is so important. If you are not going to fuel, throw everything out of the window. And I think there's another question later on about fueling, so I can definitely get into the specifics of that a little bit later on. But please, please, please prioritize your fueling, especially girls. You should be eating before and after you run. Hormone regulation, energy level. There's so many benefits. And like I said, I can get to the specifics of that. Yeah, iron deficiency. I struggled a lot with iron deficiency freshman year. So please take care of yourselves. I think those are the top 3 things I would change. There's definitely more, but I don't want to ramble on about it for too long. So thank you.
Thanks. Who's next? Cindy.
In college, what's your favorite part of traveling as a team to manage?
Oh gosh. Okay, I have a really, really, really funny story about this. So I think on the sheet it talks about you guys go on an annual trip every year to Raleigh. And that's actually really funny because I have a story about Raleigh relays my freshman year. So one of the things I love about, you know, traveling in college is that you get to explore all of these new places with some of your best friends. Like it's so interesting. I have so many stories, but one of my favorite ones in particular is Raleigh relays my freshman year. So we were coming back from Raleigh, we're in the airport, and you know, we have our boarding passes out, we're about to get on the plane, and the flight attendant starts like pulling people aside while people are like, you know, scanning in their boarding passes. And so the flight attendant pulls me aside, she pulls aside my roommate at the time, my coach, and another sprinter on our team, her name is MJ. And she's basically like, hey guys, so we downsized the aircraft, you're not gonna be able to get on the plane, you're stuck here. And I just remember my coach was so angry. It was, you know, it was definitely a stressful situation, but looking back, it's so funny and we have a good laugh about it. Like she was looking over at our men's coach, expecting him to like give up his seat on the flight, and he like ran into the plane, and she was like, ah, chivalry is dead. Like it was a really funny story. But we ended up, the cool thing was we ended up getting like $800 travel vouchers, which was a perk, and you know, they got us onto a flight. We had like a connecting flight in Charlotte, and then we got back to Philly. We didn't get back until 1 or 2 a.m., but it's such a funny story, and I think it really like brought us together and like bonded us that we were stuck in Raleigh. But yeah, it's just, you get to experience so many different things, and it kind of brings you closer to your teammates, and it's it's fun to see all of the different places. So
When I was at UD,
yeah.
we had a similar situation, but we didn't have cell phones at the time.
Um,
So 2 of our vans drove to Raleigh relays, and the 3rd van broke down, and I was on the 3rd van. So we sat in DC for like 9 hours waiting for the coach to come back and get us, because he drove all the way down there before
Yeah.
realizing they left. So cell phones are good.
Oh my god, that reminds me. Okay, I'm sorry I keep going off on so many side tangents, but I'll tell this story too. This is another like traveling story. So it was my freshman year. This is the first cross country race freshman year. This is like my first race ever. And it's, I don't know if you guys have heard of this, but it's called Nutty Comb. It's one of the biggest cross country races Wisconsin in the NCAA. And we were supposed to fly to Wisconsin, so obviously you need to have your documents, you need your driver's license and things like that. I lost my driver's license that morning, so I was like ripping apart my room trying to find it. Lo and behold, it's under my bed, so I'm running late, and I text the assistant coach. I'm like, hey girl, like I'm running a little bit late, like I'm really sorry. So I get there, I'm like sprinting, I have my duffel bags, and obviously this is my first race. I've only been there for a month, I didn't want to make like a bad impression. Because at that point, I didn't really even know my coach that well. And the bus starts driving off, and I'm like running after the bus, and the bus just pulls out of the parking lot, and it was like crazy. So I'm just standing in the parking lot, and I start sobbing, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like this is gonna be so bad. My coach had to hop off of the bus on the highway, run back to the parking lot, and drive me to the airport. And that was like, oh my gosh, that was the
bonding moment.
Yeah, no, it was. And if you know Gina, my coach is a very scary woman if you don't know her. So I just remember I was like shaking, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, Gina. And she's like, I'll give you a pass because you're a freshman, but this isn't happening again. But that's, just funny stories. So, all right.
All right, next question, guys. Go ahead.
So what advice would you give to a new runner who's trying to make their way onto varsity?
That's a good question. I would say focus a lot on your personal growth. I think it's very easy to get caught up in what other people are doing, but it's best to just do what works for you. I think that I personally perform the best when I'm not comparing myself to other people in their training, because everybody's body responds differently. So that's number one. I think focus on yourself. Number two, you need to have set systems and a set plan. I feel like obviously you need to have the belief and the confidence, like, oh, I can do this, like I can achieve this. That's number one. But you also need to have, okay, what plans am I gonna put in place to make sure that I get there? So you need to have, a solid training plan. And obviously it doesn't have to be anything crazy. You wanna like ease yourself into it and be realistic with what you have. But yeah, personal growth, confidence, being realistic, having plans, things like that would be my advice.
I think there's another question similar to that one that one of you has. Yeah, go ahead, yes.
What advice would you give to our returning varsity runners about going after goals?
Sorry, say that one more time.
What advice would you give to our returning varsity runners about going after their goals?
Yeah. I think, as a varsity runner, you already have the experience of being in that position, which is nice. And having experience is, it's a great advantage. But coming back and trying to go after your goals, I think, like I said, number one, confidence is huge. I think I have seen absolutely great things happen in my collegiate career for people just because they're more confident in themselves. So that's the first step. I think the second step is, it's kind of similar to the last question, my answer. You need to have set realistic plans in place of how you're going to achieve those goals and how you're going to follow through. And number three would probably be like discipline and like making sure that you follow through. I think that in some cases it's very easy to get complacent when you're at the top or you've achieved your goals, and you kind of have to have that like intrinsic motivation to like continue to push yourself and to discipline yourself. I think that's really important. So
Thanks. That's good advice. Go ahead, Theo.
individual goals for this upcoming season?
Okay, good question.
Cross country? Cross country, right?
Yeah.
Cross country. Okay. Cross country and track.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure. All right.
All of it.
All of it.
So I didn't run cross country this past fall. I was redshirted, but this year, you know, coming from somebody who, like I said, doesn't really consider themselves a cross country runner, I think that, and I don't love cross country. It hurts. It's definitely a lot for me, but I see the importance and I see the value in it. It is so important, and usually how you train during cross country will play into how you do during indoor and outdoor. So cross country, you know, I want to continue to improve. Last year, even though I was redshirted, I ran unattached. I had some of the best, strongest cross races of my life. I'm really proud of that, and I just want to continue to build on that. And as far as track goes, I think I definitely have some hefty goals for track, but I think they're doable. I think with the state of the NCAA, you know, I'm happy with where I finished as a sophomore, but you know,
I'm gonna pause right there. She ran 203. 203.
well, it was on a relay.
Still 203. It still happened.
Well, okay, so open 800's 205, but relay split 203. And my goals for track, yeah, I want to be up there. You know, I'd like to run 4:30 mile, sub 4:30 mile potentially. I'm getting there. And yeah, possibly get down low 2s, 201. That would be an amazing goal. So we'll see. I mean, it's a lot of time until then. I have to stay healthy and stay focused, but I'm excited for the upcoming season. So.
Next. Ashley, please.
Which race are you most proud of?
Which race?
Which race are you most proud of? Let's start with high school.
Okay, yeah. So, high school, a race that I think I'm most proud of, there's two that stick out to me. The first one is my senior year counties cross country. That was at Winterthur. And Winterthur is a hard course. That is a hard course. I remember, you know, pulling up to Winterthur and seeing the hills, and I was like, oh, geez. But I think in that race I came in third, and I was proud of that race because it was hard mentally and physically, but I genuinely surprised myself. I wasn't sure if I was going to place top 3, but I surprised myself, and I think that I was very resilient, and that was one of my strongest cross races in high school. And then another race that stuck out to me in high school was my senior year state 2 mile, where I ran 10:15. I completely blew myself away with that. I kind of just went out, didn't really have a plan. I was just like, I'm just gonna run it. I'm not gonna think about it. I'm just gonna have fun, and like, you know, the time will do itself. And I
think you went out in 5 minutes.
I was like, I went up
5 minutes to the mile.
It was a little bit too fast, but I surprised myself, and you know, the result was amazing.
Number 2 all time.
Yeah.
State history.
And in college, there are 2 races. I'll speed this up so I'm not rambling. The first race is my conference indoor championship freshman year. I came in 3rd for the mile. That was the first time I officially ran 4:40 in the mile. I was running with Shannon Flockhart, who, if you don't know who she is, she ran for Providence, but now she's pro. She runs for New Balance in Boston. And I remember running with her, and I was not slated to come in top 5 as a freshman. Most freshmen don't podium, so coming in 3rd and scoring the points for my team that's one of my best memories. And my most recent memorable race that I'm proud of is probably Penn Relays. I was the 800 leg of the DMR. And Villanova, we came in 3rd as a team. Villanova was not slated to come in 3rd. We had our top 800 girl who ran 201. She was pulled out for eligibility reasons, and I was kind of placed in as like a second man pick. And I just remember my coach kind of almost talking down on it a little bit, like, oh, you know, we don't have Liz, like, we'll see how this goes, like, maybe we'll get the school record, I'm not sure. And then, you know, I went out, I ran a lifetime PR of 2:03 and surprised myself. We were in 5th, I got us back into 3rd. And just the race itself was really something I was proud of. I was running with these really talented girls. If you don't know, Michaela Page was on my leg. She runs for NC State. She just ran 158 at Nationals. She was in my race, and I was running with another Washington girl who's ran 2:02. And I think I was really proud of that because I was just fearless. Didn't think about it, wasn't worried about splits, was just worried about placement. And I went out and ran a good race. That's something I'm really proud of.
So, like, how do you overcome not having your best workout or not having your best race? Like, how do you flip the script so like quickly if you didn't have a good performance or didn't have a good season? Like, what do you do to get back so that you can be successful again? Because I know that it's, you know, with injuries or with just the mental grind of being a middle distance and distance runner can really wear on you. So how do you like, if you have a bad race, if you have a bad workout, how do you get back and not put too much stock in it?
Yeah, you know, I mean, I sit with it. If I'm upset about something, I'll let myself be a little bit upset about it for a period of time. But at the end of the day, I kind of just look at things big picture. So when I think of consistency and being consistent, that doesn't necessarily always mean that you're stacking A+ days on top of each other. It doesn't always have to be A+ days. It could be B+ days. It could be C+ days. But what matters most is that you are consistent and that all of those days are adding up. So if I have a really bad workout or if I have a terrible race, you know, I'm not going to let that define me as a runner overall because I know my abilities. I know that I've been consistent, and I know that I've put the work in. So, you know, while I may not have had it on the day in particular, I know that in the, you know, the long run, the big picture, that everything's going to be okay. And as long as I continue to stick to my plan, I'm going to achieve my goals.
Awesome. And we're going to kind of wrap things up. I have one question I want to ask for the seniors. The recruiting process, when you were a junior going into senior year, and obviously you were at Villanova, so that was the school you chose. Do you have any advice for our seniors that might be looking, or even juniors, that might be looking to compete after high school?
Yeah, like I said, I'll do my best to keep on the topic, but you know, get to know all of your options. Be open to talking to a lot of people. I think, unfortunately, one thing I did was I was very quick to kind of like shut things down just because I was afraid to talk to a lot of people. Don't be afraid to talk to a lot of people. Talk to as many people as you can. Get to know people. Form relationships with these coaches and get to know them. You know, ask questions, get to know the runners, ask them about their philosophies, because I think having a good standing and good foundation with the coach and with the team going into college is really, really important. And obviously, you know, the more you ask, the more you know, the better decisions you can make as far as schools go.
There may be questions on top of that you want to ask. Then it might not even be a question on the list. Is there any questions for Bella that you're thinking of as we're here? Yeah.
You said you were just running for placement and not worrying about splits that time. What goes into that thought process, and how do you decide that day I'm running for splits versus placement?
Yeah, you know, there's definitely a time and a place where you're going for time and you're going for placement. So, and usually, you know, when you meet with your coaches in the beginning of the year, you discuss like, okay, like this race is going to be set up, so this is the race where I'm gonna go after it. I'm gonna get my time so I can qualify for this. And as far as races for placement, Penn Relays is one of those things. It's a relay. You know, the glory necessarily isn't in the time, it's the placement, it's the win. So in that instance, you know, even though I knew I was running with people who were a lot faster than me, you know, I kind of just had to think to myself, like, oh, like, I need to get myself in the race. So if they go out in a 58 or a 57, I need to be there. You know, I need to put my team in the race. And I think when you have that mindset, a lot of the times, you know, the time will just come with it. That's why in a lot of cases, when you're not thinking about things too much and you're just relaxed and you're having fun, that's when you perform the best. Anything else?
Well, Bella, we really appreciate you being here tonight. You guys want to give a round of applause to Bella Walsh? And we wish you success this summer as you train for your fall cross-country season junior year, and obviously in track. And we really appreciate you spending time with St. Mark's.
So, thank you guys so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you all.